I want to offer the warmest possible welcome to all of you as we return together as a community. It's great to see you all. I hope you had a blessed Christmas and a warm, blessed time with your family, with many graces through the feasts that we've celebrated. I hope it was a very, very good time for you. But it's good to have you back. I feel like the soul has re-entered the body with you and the faculty back. It's really great. I also want to thank you for the warm welcome that I received and my family received over the fall semester. Again and again, we were reminded about how amazing this college is, and we're very grateful for that. I also want to say thank you to all the students whose tables I crashed during lunch last semester. When I'm in town, I like to eat with the students as many times as I can, and you were always very gracious when I would walk up with my tray and ask if I could sit there. So thank you for doing that. I should warn you, I intend to continue that practice in the spring. So the best way to avoid me is to just not look at me as I walk by. Just like eye contact is the killer for that situation. So, and also I just want to mention that what an honor it's been to represent Christendom as I've traveled around the country in the fall. I love telling the Christendom story, and that story is getting more nuanced the longer I'm here. And that story is informed in large part by the conversations we have about your experiences. I want to make a proposal to you as we begin this semester, but I want to introduce that proposal through a story. It's a rather personal story, but we're in this community together, and there's a certain amount of these kinds of stories that we share with one another. When I started college, right out of high school, I was woefully unprepared. I didn't have the study skills. I couldn't manage my time. I went away to college for 1 quarter. And at the end of that quarter, I was out of money, and my grades were in the tank. I was probably going to be on probation if I could have found the money to come back. But I'd had a taste. I had a taste of what college life was like. I had a taste of what learning could be. And so though I had to leave college, I was eager to get back. I was a first-generation student, so I knew nothing about loans or grants or anything of that sort. I didn't know how to pay for college. I really did think you had to just save the money up and go. But that began a 3-year journey of working, trying to get back to school. I worked at a McDonald's for 6 months, and then I heard that the wages were higher in Atlanta, further north, the big city in the north. So I moved to Atlanta. I worked in a hospital for a year, and then I did construction work for 2 years. I was part of the electricians union, actually. Didn't go down that path, but that's how I made a living. And so a few years later, I went back to college, and I was so thrilled to get back. But I had grown up a lot. I had learned how to manage my time because I had to go to work every day. And I approached my college life more like a job. I kept track of the hours I was putting in for each course, making sure I was getting enough rest. And it was a very different semester than what I had expected. Because I registered late, I couldn't get into as many courses as I needed to. So it was really the spring semester where I had a full load, and I experienced the real weight of what it meant to be a full-time student. About halfway through that semester, I hit a wall. In spite of all my efforts, I couldn't write this paper that I'd been assigned. I couldn't figure out a way forward. Little did I know that my paper topic, the printing press in the Reformation, had been the topic of many, many books and conferences, and I was trying to write in 15 pages what most scholars take a career figuring out. So a friend of mine urged me, you need an extension. Go see the faculty member, go see your professor. So with great trepidation and not a small degree of shame, I sought out the professor's office, and I still remember the hallway, standing in it, being very nervous about going in. The appointed time came, and I walked in, and he was very warm, and he welcomed me in. And his name was Stanley Hauer, Dr. Hauer. And within 30 seconds, I had my extension. But he was eager to talk. So he asked me about my background and what I'd read. And during my years on the construction site, I read a lot of novels. I had read some Dostoevsky. I had read Paradise Lost. And we talked about that. And he wasn't a Christian, but he knew about C.S. Lewis, and we talked about C.S. Lewis. And it was a wonderful, wonderful hour. So at the end, I'm about to leave, and he reaches over to his filing cabinet, and he opens it up, and he takes out some papers stapled, and he hands it to me. He was an English professor. It was an integrated course. And at the top it said, Hauer's top 100 novels. And there were his favorite 100 novels with brief descriptions. And so I took that. And we had talked about this, and he knew that I had read Dostoevsky. He said, well, you should try some Tolstoy. And so I took that list, and when I went back to my construction job over the summer, I began reading War and Peace. Now, I should mention something else that happened in my first year there, is I met a young woman, and I was rather smitten with her. But I wasn't Catholic, and let's just say, due to family history, I had decided I was never getting married. And if I ever were to get married, lightning were to strike, I was never gonna have kids. And so that's where I was, and I was very upfront with her about this. But we were seeing each other on a regular basis. Well, that summer, I read War and Peace. And as you might guess from the title, it's about war and peace. Thank you. But there's a third word you could put in that title, and that is marriage. That book is very much about marriage and different kinds of marriages. And by the end of the summer, I came to the recognition that it was possible to have a good marriage and that children were a gift. And so that led down a different path than I was expecting. And ultimately, that young woman is now my wife. And we're over 32 years married. So it was a wonderful gift. But to go to my proposal, if you trace this back, if I had not spent time with my professor that day, my life would have been very different. And so the proposal to you is take as many opportunities as you can this semester to get as much out of your courses, put in what you need to put in, receive as much as you can, and take advantage of the apprenticeship that is available to you here at this college, a college of this size. Take advantage of every chance you have before class, after class, in office hours, to build those relationships with your faculty. Receive as much as you can, because you have no idea what you might receive and how it might affect your life down the course of days. And also read good novels, but spend as much time as you can. I proposed at the beginning of the year thinking about your education as a dual pilgrimage, a pilgrimage of the spirit, of the soul, a spiritual pilgrimage, but also an intellectual pilgrimage. Well, pilgrims need guides. And your faculty are really like craftsmen. They've cultivated the craft of teaching. They've cultivated wisdom, and we're all apprentices, right? And so I would encourage you to do that. I would also ask, in closing, that you continue to pray for me and my family as we settle in, and I would always welcome a chance to talk to you. So may God bless you in your semester.